Good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the cosmos, the galaxy, space, the usual things I say in this opening. This is Rocken Larry Locken with Pleiadian Express Productions. Today on the show with me, or tonight, wherever you are in this never beginning or ending now moment, I have Bridget Rao, who is also a staff member, among other things, on Pleiadian Express Productions, and sometimes host of the Pleiadian Blu-ray show. And tonight we're going to talk a little bit about what she's been up to, what kind of career path she's pursuing, just things of that nature. But I know at first she wanted to talk a little bit about some of the chaos in various ways that's going on over there on the East Coast of the USA, where she's from. I'm out here, of course, in the Pacific Northwest, where really nothing's going on, but no time at all, and just chill. But Bridget Rao, my Pleiadian inta-galactic Sista, how are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing good, sweetie. It's an overcast day here. It's kind of chilly, but how's everything going back there? So what's up with this chaos on the East Coast, huh?
Well, it's funny. Lately, things have calmed down a lot for me, but it seems like there's a lot of chaos going on for just about everybody I talk to. I have a close-knit community here, and whether it be their relationships, their jobs, whatever, it just seems like there's a lot of endings coming for people, and whether or not they want those or they're ready for those, they're being forced into it. I know for myself, I was going through stuff for about a year with a job, and it was going up and down, and I kept getting the same message over and over that I needed to increase my self-worth and start making things be more balanced. And I just kept putting it off. So I kept noticing in my life all this chaos. And if you're a believer in the power of attraction, usually we think that we create our own reality by what we put out there, our thoughts and our actions. And I didn't even realize that by allowing someone else's chaos to affect mine, by dropping all my stuff to help someone else with theirs, I was inviting it into my own life. And it finally got to the point where I was like, holy shit, I was sitting in the car and that's when I have all these big epiphanies, is when I'm driving, and I'm like, oh my God. So I cut the cords, and I released the attachment to the situation and the person that I felt like was, being a big part of this, and immediately felt like a truckload of energy hit me, and I just felt free. And then for a few days, things got better. And, my mother's been really sick lately. She's been in the hospital for about 7 weeks now. It came out of nowhere. She got really sick. She was unconscious for about 3 weeks. She's on breathing tubes. I've been going up and down to the hospital every day. Up until recently, now I'm going every other day. But that was another manifestation, and it was out of the desperation of trying to figure out, why is all this happening? There was a flood a few weeks before this. There's just, me and Jamie were fighting. It just seemed like everything was going wrong. You'd walk into a store and they wouldn't have what you're looking for. You go to the gas station and you can't even get gas. Like the filter on my car was broken. I went to I cleaned the whole tub so I could take a nice relaxing bath, and the fucking drain broke. So it was like constant chaos. And as soon as I realized that what I needed to do with ending the situation, the relationship that I was in, and stepping away, things started to move better. Within 3 hours, I got a call that my mother was doing much better. She was awake. She was conscious. I haven't had any issues in my everyday life. I wake up and things seem to be going in a more forward motion. And ever since I told this person in the situation that I needed to step away, I feel free. I feel my creativity coming back. I have all these new ideas. I've had a lot of ideas for the past year that I kind of just didn't do anything with because I was almost afraid of how it would be taken by a certain person in my life. I felt like they would be like, oh, you can't do that, or they would want to be a part of it, or they would take the idea from me. So by embracing this change and cutting the cords and even going as far as blocking this person out of my life, so much has opened up. And I notice a lot of people are going through this with marriages, jobs, boyfriends.
dispel the rumor right now that that person is not Natalie Alea? It's not.
No. And that's another thing. Natalie had her own stuff coming up for a while. I love Natalie. I still talk to Natalie all the time. The chaos for her was Facebook. She couldn't deal with the energies on Facebook anymore. She couldn't deal with all the negativity. I mean, Facebook can be difficult. I do a lot of stuff here. Yeah. But she was going through her own stuff, and she ended up getting another job, and that's what she's not going to have the time to do the shows anymore. But she still wants to do hangouts and talk and stuff like that, so I'm sure we'll be hearing from Natalie in the future. But she just needed a break. But she did what she needed to do. She embraced the change, and I think it will be for her highest good. You know, she's going to start having abundance come in, and then when it kind of settles down and balances, she'll be able to do a mix of the spiritual work and reach out to us and talk with us again and be able to afford whatever she needs. And, you know, but definitely nothing to do with Natalie.
Well, let's go down this off topic a little bit, down this rabbit hole about Facebook lately, because does it seem like, Sif and I were talking the other day, and it seems like it's been flat lately. It's just like, I don't know, you know, kind of flat. I don't know. It went from this point where it was like too much energy, and I know I've had to take several steps back from it because it's really draining. But just lately, it seems really flat. It doesn't seem like people are engaging in much conversation. It really doesn't seem like people are doing much of anything at all. It just seems kind of like maybe a lot of people are themselves are taking a break from it. I don't know. It just seems kind of quiet on there, except for you, Miss Popularity. I see that, you know, I mean, you never have a short of that, but it just seems like in the groups and stuff. I don't know.
I know what you mean because, well, for me, for a while now, I've kind of stepped away from the groups. Every once in a while, I'll throw a post in there from my page because when you're sharing stuff from a page and not your profile, it doesn't get seen by a lot of people unless you put it into a group. So I'll throw stuff into the groups because yesterday I did like one of those, here, pick a card, and I shared it a few times and nobody saw it, so I put it in the groups, and that's when everybody saw it. But that's basically what I've been using the group, so I don't go in there to engage in conversations anymore. I feel like I made my friends from the groups, and now we engage on my personal page or through messaging. I get emails from people from groups all the time, but I don't. You're right. There's like a lack of. I feel like everybody got the information they needed and now they're kind of just like, okay, you know, maybe there's a fresh group or something that's in there that just isn't where we are.
Right, there is. You just said what I was too sick and shit to say is that, like, you know, you just use the groups to. You feel like you've done it. I mean, I've done that too, been engaged in conversations, did that for a long time, and now I feel like I'm at a level where I, you know, post shit in there if they like it, they can. If not, whatever. But yeah, I kind of feel like that too, you know. I mean, so, you know.
Right.
You quit being a user using the groups. I never would.
You know, I'm not using it, but I'm like allowing people to see, you know, my stuff because I have my own group, the Munay-Ki rites, and I posted that thing yesterday. I wanted people to choose a card. I posted it on my personal profile and on my page, and nobody saw it. So I posted it in that group, and 6 people saw it and picked a card. So, you know, I wanted them to be able to pick a card. It doesn't benefit me if, you know. Mm-hmm. And so then this morning, it was actually in that group that people were like, where are the results? And I'm like, oh shit, sorry, forgot.
That's so Pleiadian of you to forget. You mentioned the Munay-Ki rites. Why don't you talk a little bit about that? I mean, that was something that we were all involved with, you and Natalie, really, especially. And I mean, you know, talk about that a little bit from your perspective.
Okay, well, Natalie was my mentor, as she is many people who've gone through the Munay-Ki. For me, that's when my spiritual stuff here in like the physical world started really taking off. I feel like the soul star rite that Natalie channeled in really, really did align me with my purpose. And that's what it's all about. It's about aligning you with your soul purpose, gives you a stronger connection with your star family. And that's, you know, as every time I give that rite, it gets stronger and stronger. And I've noticed my ability to channel has gotten easier. I'm constantly getting messages from them. But the Munay-Ki in itself, is like a whole new perspective. You know, it's about opening your eyes, taking a step back, looking at the big picture. Each rite, you know, connects you with something different. There's the healer's rite that activates the healing in you. The bands of power are like a new way of protection for yourself. Harmony connects you with 7 different archetypes that align with your chakras. Seer's rite opens up your ability to perceive with your heart and soul. Then there's the lineage rites, which connect you with masculine and feminine and earth keepers, who are basically guardians of our galaxy. And then the star rites connect you with the stars and the star keepers. And then there's the creator rite, which connects you with the creator of all, and you know, you become a steward for the earth, you become a steward for the time to come, and then you become a steward of all creation. And after doing all that, I started receiving other rites with you guys, like you got the sun
keepers rites, yes.
Yeah, and Natalie had the Pleiadian golden woven path, and I had the Lion triple infinity. And I do these here a lot. I like doing them in person with people, whether it's, sometimes we'll do like an intensive weekend, or I have people who I'll see once a week for however many weeks they need to go through it. But everybody takes it at their own personal rate, you know, whether it be outside forces or themselves, something can stop them. You know, some people get 2 rites and then they take 6 months off because they can't go forward with it.
Right.
So I never question that.
I just want to say these are all shows that we have on the Pleiadian Express Productions YouTube channel and Facebook page as well. The shows that you're talking about, the Golden Woven and the one that you did, the Myron.
Yeah, and I actually think I gave her we gave the rights on the show too, so you can tune into those energies and feel if it's something you're called to.
Yes, sir. Tune in to Pleiadian Express Productions. We've got it all for you. Yeah. So basically, what it does is, would you say that it tunes you in with the source flow of all that is that consciously goes?
Yeah, and it does. It enhances with each thing. You know, the triple infinity abundance rite connects you with the Lyrans and it helps you align with abundance. The Pleiadian golden one is about connecting with these 2 guides. It's a 300,000-year-old tradition that every time someone receives a rite, a golden thread is added to a path. And it's totally just different expressions of the global consciousness or the universal consciousness.
Yeah, you guys were really on your game for those shows. The Golden Woven was awesome. I mean, the Triple Iron, just really awesome information. And, you know, I mean, it's not always, but those were really good. You guys were on your game.
Thank you.
Hey, I wanted to also bring up, listen, and I'm going to say this right now because I've heard all the Pleiadian channelers, and they're all great, but that channeling that you gave, and I know you're not going to give yourself credit for it, it's them coming through, but it was just amazing. And I feel like you added a new perspective. It was like, okay, it was like the next step. I mean, we've heard like Barbara Marciniak's channelings, you know, everybody out there, Wendy Kennedy, Marianne Rada, on and on and on. But yours was like, I felt like the next evolution in that process. And I'd like to hear more from you. I hope they come through you more in the future.
Well, and that's actually the Divine Essentials is my show, my page, but I was going to start doing like a show called Pleiadian Essentials where, because since that channeling, I've had lots of people asking me questions on YouTube in the comments, and they're like, this really hit me, can you channel me an answer to this? You know, I'd like to hear more, just like what you're saying. So I'm planning on starting that. You know, the chaos is starting to get cleared out of my life. So I was going to start doing more channelings and asking people what they, you know, kind of answering a question. Because I'm sure if one person has that question, there's 100 people who have that question. So that's where I'm going with the channeling. I'll be, you know, similar to what like Barbara does. She'll have a big group of people, and they ask a question and they get their answer. That's what I feel called to do. So,
you know, you brought up something for people out there, though. You mentioned cutting cords, and I know, you know, we use that phrase, but can you kind of explain maybe how you cut cords, what you do, or what advice you would give to somebody who needs to cut cords in their life?
Sure. So for me, I know a lot of people, especially for me, being Starseed, I didn't necessarily jive with the whole archangel thing. it wasn't until I had a new perspective brought into me that, you know, these archangels are likely just other beings from other places, more likely a star being than an angel. So I was like, oh, okay. And that was able to jive more with it. Because I've noticed a lot of people who are into the starseed thing kind of dismiss anything to do with religion, and it's just because of how we've been conditioned to look at it like, oh, no, that's bad. For me, anyway, that's how I felt about it. But I will call on Archangel Michael, and I'll ask him to cut the cords. I'll say, Archangel Michael, please cut and sever all cords and ties that are draining me from so-and-so or from this situation. And I'll just sit there and close my eyes, and you can feel it. It depends on the intensity of the situation. I mean, if you're in a relationship for 50 years and you never cut the tie to this person, you know it's going to be like a Mack truck of energy hitting you. If it's just some asshole who cut you off in the street, it's not going to be that noticeable. But you should cut your cords every night, because we have an interaction constantly with people, whether or not you're driving and someone cuts you off, or you have a bad thought about the person in front of you with 8,000 items on the belt that they're in the 15 item or less thing. All of those moments in your life are energetic, and you have a connection to these people, and people who see you have a connection to you too. Sometimes they're negative, sometimes they're good. Archangel Michael will never cut the good ones, but he can cut the negative ones. And when you keep doing that, you protect yourself. You have a white layer of, you can ask him to activate your light body or your protection. And I always call on Archangel Raphael to heal any of the spots that have been severed. And that's just what I do.
Hey, I just thought of something. You had mentioned on a show sometime back, I think you and Natalie were doing it. I think I was on it with you too. It might have been the Blu-ray show, right? You were mentioning it. It just resonated with me. It's something that I felt but really never say. You're like, okay, when you go on Facebook, right, sometimes if you're just not in the mood, you're afraid to even post anything because you're going to get 1,000 messages, people right on you. And you were like, hey, look, explain, look, it's nothing personal. I'm just going through some stuff right now. I mean,
right.
Can you kind of surmise that again for everybody? Because it was really, it kind of gives everybody a perspective of how we feel, like, because,
I don't know exactly what I said, but I do know there can, and I noticed that it comes and goes. There's some days and some, I'll wake up and I'm like, yeah, awesome. I'll talk to anybody, everybody all day. But then there's times where it's like, I'm just on there working. My job at Shanti Shala is also, I promote my own stuff, but I promote her stuff and I promote other people's stuff. And if I'm doing that, I'm kind of in the zone. Like, I create emails and things like that, but I have to post them or nobody sees them. So when I'm doing that, I'm on the clock. I don't have time to talk to you. And there is times that I'm not on the clock that I just don't want to talk to anybody, because we're empaths. We need that downtime. And just because we're on Facebook scrolling or enjoying a moment of peace by ourselves doesn't mean that we have the time to talk to someone else. So if we don't get back to you instantly, it's not that we didn't want to or that we hate you or that we're assholes. It's just that we need to recharge our batteries, and we can't constantly be available to everybody 24/7. I say to people all the time, message me. I'm here to talk to you, but it doesn't mean I'm, if 3 a.m. you message me, I'm going to be like, oh, okay, let me fix all your problems.
If it's 3 a.m. and it must be lonely, don't message Bridget necessarily. But you know what? I'm real bad. I've always been about checking my messages because I just don't want to go there, and I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm going to have to engage in this big, long dialogue. But I realize that it's important. But after a while, like, I quit checking my messages, and people eventually, they stop messaging you. But it's just the energy thing. Like you said, some days I'll get up and I'll be like, yeah, I want to get going on there and just talk to people and do things. That's mainly when I'm high. But no, I'm just kidding. But what you touched on about the zone, right? It's like, okay, maybe even if you weren't getting paid for it, but you're on the clock post. You know what I mean? I'm posting, I'm doing my groove, I'm doing into that, and then everybody starts if people are liking it, and then they comment, you feel guilty, like, okay, I got to get to that comment first, but I want to post it to this group and that group first. You know what I mean?
You know what I do? I just don't even look at my notifications until I'm done.
I'd had to do that.
You know, because you're right, and there's certain people that like if it's you, and I got something else I'm supposed to be doing, I'll stop what I'm doing to get back to you because I feel like I should, but in the back of my mind I'm like, fuck, I gotta go, you know, like, but it's hard.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that and that's why when there's people who I don't know who start messaging me, I'm like, I don't want to get into that tie of like feeling obligated.
Exactly, because it keeps going, and yeah, I mean, really, I could care less about you getting back to any of those other people, but like you said, it really is important that you get back to me. That's very true. I really feel that way. So, you know, I mean, because, you know, my time is important.
You know, I don't care if your dog just got ran over by a car. You got to get back to Larry. You know.
Yeah, you do. I mean, when I need something, when I need to know something, I want to know it now. But yeah, so it's not, and you feel but kind of bad because people are asking questions, and then some people ask questions in a message you don't know, and it's kind of like leading. You don't know where they're going with it, and you know, sometimes I'll play along and do that. I'm pretty intuitive to know when people are fucking around, and you know, sometimes my humor, I'll go with it and say, "Oh wow, cool" or whatever. But yeah, so that's it. But I know that it's different for like the women personalities, like as far as I know, like whether it's you, Natalie, whether it's Raquel, whether it's Tiff, even you guys you probably get a lot of male friend requests from people from God knows where, and people bothering you. I know some of you were going through a phase of that. Is that kind of slowed down of having?
Yeah, you know what? And that's another thing I want to say about this is I feel like I have the ability to like consciously block stuff, even not necessarily even have like I don't have to block you on Facebook. But
way, yeah, when you're if you get in that certain mode, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because in the beginning I had tons and tons of that, and it's also friend requests. So I go through now, and I don't accept every single friend request because I don't know you, and I don't know what your intentions are. And a lot of times, if I approve a friend request from a guy, then I get the hey, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like,
hey, baby, what's your sign? What's your sign? What's a pretty little lady like you doing in a group like this?
Right, and I have a fiance. So a lot of the times, I don't even want to converse back with any guys because I don't want them to even attempt to go into that. You know what I mean? And unless I know, like, I'll be like, I'm that person that doesn't open the message. I turn it and I read, like, the beginning part to see where they're going with their message before I open. Yeah. So
that's very Pleiadian. Like, I do it too. Yeah, I get about half the message at the bottom. Like, yeah. My conscience already knows it.
Right. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to answer that one. Or I'll wait till later on when I think they're off and open it up. And I'm careful about who I converse with because we are empaths. We're susceptible to energies, and I just don't want anything to drain me or stress me out. So when it comes to guys, I do filter a little bit more strictly than, and I've even had guys like message me with names that would seem like you could be either way in a picture of a girl, and then you figure out, oh, this is a guy. But yeah, guys are a touchy subject, unless they're just normal people. I mean, sometimes they're just weirdos. And there's people out there who are just haters, who are like, oh, you're a fucking weirdo.
Yeah, and they want to bait you into a conversation and get you and say this and say that, and, well, what about this and what about that? And, you know, you can just feel that vibe coming on. And you know what? I mean, I just don't have the time to deal with it. Or I really like I was abducted by the reptilians.
Oh my God.
They've messed with my brain. They put a chip in me, you know, shit like that. And it goes, and it's like, okay, yeah. And then it goes on. It's just like, I believe it and I understand where they're going with it, but I don't know. I feel like I'm not the one at my level. I'm not the one to deal with them on that.
Yeah, that happens a lot too. I'll have people message me big, huge stories about something, and I don't know. I think I've even like come to you and like Sif and Natalie and been like, dude, what the hell do I say to that? Like, you know, we're just people too. We don't know.
That's where like the group of us, that's where it comes in handy because like if I was hung up on something, I'm able to go to Sif or you or Natalie and say, hey, what would you do? Just like if you were having an issue like that, you could come to one of us and get a recommendation, you know, and it may tie it together in your brain and go, okay, well, you know, yeah, this is what I'm going to tell them, definitely.
Right, and like we're all intuitive people, so if I get like a weird vibe off of something, I'll come to, I'll go to Natalie and be like, Natalie, I got a weird vibe off of this, what do you get off of this? Or even just a person, I feel like they have an ulterior motive to this, and you're like, yeah, and just like in any friendship or any job, we all have to be careful of what we do and who we interact with, but.
I mentioned this the other night, I think, or sometime on a show, but like about 6 months back, Bridget, I got this message from this guy from Uganda, of course. I'm sure you know where this is going. But he starts talking to me, oh, hi, how are you? Oh, I said, hi, how are you? And nice weather there, huh? Playing along with his bullshit. And then he starts to go into, I know where he's going. He's going to start talking about his sister or something that's sick or something, and he needs money. And I said, look, man, I'll just stop right there. I'm going to tell you right now. I have no judgment. I understand, but look, I'm just going to tell you from as a friend, you're barking up the wrong tree, hitting Americans up for money. We're broke. Where you live, if you're in Uganda, the kids over here only eat about one more meal a day on average if you consider the poverty here. I said, so man, go hit up Scandinavia, which I'm sure Sif would love me for. But don't. I said, I ain't the one, man. I'm not the one. America's broke. I'm broke, and first of all, most Americans are broke. So I said, man, I would be trying other places because what you think is happening here is not. So I just put it down to him like that, and then he said, oh, okay, thank you. But then he went into how sick his sister was again. I said, well, I can send her much love and healing energy to you, and that was that. But I just wanted to let him know that he's asking where our kids are as starving as theirs are. So.
Right. Yeah, and that's I find a lot of that too. The only thing I can offer people is healing, and even that is like that's our livelihood. So I do for free all the time. I send healing out for free all the time. But I've noticed like in my community, there's a lot of people who are like, oh, you can't give out free, you can't do this, you can't do that for free, you can't do that for free. But there's a lot of people who can't afford stuff here just as well as anywhere else. So I do try to, accommodate people and help people out.
Yeah, really. It's like Natalie would say, we deserve to be paid for what we do, but at the same time, you got people locked into that, oh, you can never do it free. And they're locked into it. That would be the first thing on their mind, and they would stop from giving somebody some advice because they knew they should get paid for it. I think a lot of people get to that level. A lot of people that are, really popular in this field get to that level,
Yeah.
It's all about a book and a seminar. I've watched a couple channelers I feel have gone that route, and I don't blame them, but I think it just kind of goes with the territory. You lose perspective, at some point.
Right. And I never want to be that person. I never want to be like separated from people, or I don't know. Like I feel like if you give to somebody who can't, pay or whatever, you'll get it back somehow. I don't go out and I don't say like, oh yeah, just run out there and give free healings to everybody and promote that and do that. But if somebody comes to you and they're like really bad and that, say that they just left their husband and they have no money and they just lost their house and all this shit, like, yeah, get on the table, I'll give you a healing. Who's to say the next person that comes in doesn't give me a $20 tip to cover the cost of what their session was going to cost? We get it back somehow, but I never want to be cut off from helping people because that's what we're here to do, is to help people.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it too. When they lose that mentality of helping people just to help people and it's just strictly money on every little situation basis, I think that screws with their energy and their effectiveness too, to give a good reading. Really, you see it, time and time again, or people that are just kind of in their own little world, like, oh, everything's manifested. That's why, like, I can't stand, and I was talking to somebody about that, this is my personal opinion, I really don't vibe with somebody like Abraham Hicks because, they're kind of just like, oh, well, you manifest,
Yeah, some of her stuff is like, I feel like she just talks too fast that you don't understand what she's saying.
Yeah, she's played out, basically, It's time for the new breed, like Bridget Rao.
I don't know about that, but
well, anybody's offended by what I said about Abraham Hicks, well, too bad. Your taste sucks. Anyway.
I like her. I like some of her stuff, but not everything. You know what I mean?
I'm too offended for her stuff. It's like Jason Wilson and I were talking about it. I'm too offended to hear her. And I like Cryon. I love Cryon. I love listening
See,
to him.
I haven't really gotten into cryon, and I know I need to.
Bashar, I can take him or leave him, but there's nothing he's ever told me that I didn't already know.
Mm-hmm.
Cryon, same thing, but Cryon's linked a lot of stuff for me, whereas those two have never done it for me at all, period.
Right. I think the aspect that I like, that I feel like I'm going to be growing into with my healing stuff, is helping people with addiction. I've been told by numerous readers and stuff like that I was going to help people with addiction. I mean, and I feel like...
We still need to do a show on that. Yeah, we still need to do a show on that. You and I were talking about that one time. Because
right, and it comes out all the time, and we do. We have, and I was a heroin addict for a long time, and I have who the best, they have AA and all this shit available for people, but unless you are into AA and their teachings, it's not going to work for you. I want to be able to help people approach it from like a more spiritual or energetic consciousness level.
Yeah, Raquel and I were talking about that the other night, in fact, on a show, because it takes somebody that's in tune with the starseed addiction. It's different, and I talked about that on a solo show I did about a year ago, talking about the starseed addiction, and people are not ready to understand what it's like. It's not like somebody typically who's been on something and they quit and then they find something like in life to pursue that takes their mind off it. Our mind just keeps spinning and going there, and it lasts for us, the wanting, until we find something that really like occupies us, but on a multidimensional level. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because I was an Oxycontin addict. I never used a needle or used street heroin, but I was on the second highest dose of Oxycontin that they had documented at the time. I was taking 740 milligrams of methadone. If I had that, I'd take 10 80 milligram oxys a day, and that was Suboxone helped me get off that. But were you using a needle?
Yes.
Okay, so was and Raquel too. So see, Jesus Christ, two of my hosts are ex-junkies, for Christ's sake. So I used to pull the coating off the oxys and snort them in my office. I had a big executive career, and I would shut the door and go in there and do that. But yeah, it's people don't understand though, and I hope someday there needs to be like doctors and nurses as well that are getting this starseed thing and these symptoms, because it ties into Bridget, right? All these people are going to the doctor for, shit that's wrong with them, more and more. It's not like, people always have, but all these symptoms are going to start, these doctors are going to have to start scratching their heads and going, what the fuck?
Right. It's, and not that every starseed out there is going to be an addict of something. I think a few of them, I think in some way we're all an addict of something.
But they're all going to have those ascension symptoms, though, those weird ascension symptoms.
Right. And I thank God when I went through my ascension symptoms, I wasn't on drugs, because I probably would have killed myself.
I would love to go through opiate withdrawal with those hardcore shifts.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
There was times where I would be going through stuff and I'm like, what the, like it felt like opiate withdrawal. Like the pain in your legs or something like that. And I would be like, why am I going through this again? Like, and it almost brought you back to wanting to do drugs because you knew you'd find relief there.
Exactly. I was telling, I think, Sif the other night that too, that it's like that. The people that are going through these terrible ascension symptoms that have never used drugs, they're going through opiate-like withdrawal pains.
Yeah.
Your legs, that little pointer in your hip, your sciatic nerve. Those are
fun.
I love those.
I know. I had sciatic pain I can remember talking when I first got onto the Indigo Adults group, and that was right before I found the Pleiadians group. I was having sciatic pain every day. Like, I just started flashing myself, like, squatting outside, like, with my phone, because it was the only way I could find relief was to be squatting and talking to other people about the awakening that I was, like, experiencing.
While you were listening to your, at the time, Pleiadian hero on the radio, on the...
I know, and I listen to you all the time. It still blows my mind that like here I am talking to you, because I at that point when I was listening to you, I was like intimidated, like, oh my God, you know.
I went through the same thing with you. I would, before I found any of these groups and knew anybody. I mean, I would listen to Greg Prescott for years on N5D, and I've done shows with him, and it's like it's really cool. You know,
I would love to talk to him, because I was listening to him at the same time too.
Mm-hmm.
He's the reason why I got the Lavendar reading for the Pleiadian lineups. I mean I got the Lavender reading for the Pleiadian starseed markings, and that's how I found out about Pleiadian lineup, and that's when I realized that May 18th, my birthday, was like at the height of the Pleiadian lineup when they do their experiments.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the information that I've gotten is from N5D, that was like confirmation and listening to you, and from Lavendar.
Exactly, Greg Prescott, and we love you, Greg. Much love, Greg and Michelle Walling, N5D.com. But Greg put together years ago an Indigo Children's video. I'm sure you've seen it. It's 15 years.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, everybody has. But
the purple.
That whole thing. Yeah, and that was it was great. I mean, he edited that and he composed the music. He did the narration. It was just wonderful, and yeah, what a thrill, exactly. And a couple other people too, Marianne Rada. I had a phone call with her, and it was just cool because, like, I've listened to these people, right? And I thought I put them all on pedestals, and now it's cool to interact with them.
Right. I think a lot of people do that. They put you on a pedestal, even just being on YouTube.
On the Speaker Shit channel, yeah, for sure.
Like, I've had people come to Shantishala drive. I've had numerous people drive. There was one lady and her friend who drove 2 hours to come to the Syrian dolphin journey. And then I had this guy and his friend come like 4 hours to the Alcyon journey that I did, because that's what I do. I do different guided meditations, but it's all channeled. And they came because of this, because they've heard me. They're like, yeah, I saw you on YouTube. And I'm like, you saw me on YouTube? And I'm like thinking in my head, I'm like, what the hell's out there of me on you? And then I realized that it was me talking. In my mind, I'm like, what was I dancing? I'm like, what is this, back when I was like 15? I'm like, but it's because of the shows.
You're always like on other shows, right? We're like, God damn, there's no other starseeds around us. Natalie, Sif, and I were like, and you're like, shit, I got them coming to me all the time. Do you think it's the region, though, you live in? I know it's you, but do you think part of it's the region? I mean, you're located within a couple hours of fucking New York, Philly, in countless smaller big towns.
No, it's just me, dude. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know.
A lot of it is. Yeah. Come to Coos Bay, Oregon, and we'll see. Yeah.
Well, hey. My friends were just there in Coos Bay for 3 weeks, and it was when my mother was sick. So there's a whole group of people there who do global. They're part of this global community, and they do healing ceremonies, and for like the solstices they do like these 24-hour fires. And the next time that my friend Jeff is going out there, I want to hook you two up, because he's awesome. Totally. He will open your eyes up to a whole probably.
Great. I love doing that. I love meeting people like that, because you get bored as a starseed and you've seen and heard it all, and it's so fun when you get somebody and meet somebody that can actually. Wow, tie some other shit together, Yeah,
he was right there, and he's he did the Munay-Ki at Four Winds with Alberto Veloto, who is the guy who brought them here. So right. And he's been to Peru, he's been to Ireland, he comes to Coos Bay.
Geez, Peru, Ireland, Coos Bay, shit, man. I feel like I'm in the Mecca here.
You are, so yeah. You are surrounded by it. You just need to get out there and in your local community.
Get out of the light grid and the Express Studios. Yeah, they need to meet the Lyran Pleiadian contactee with all the honesty. Yeah. I'll tell about the orbs and shit. Definitely, I would like to engage like that. That would be great, and hook up with people. I know some people. Chuck Wyatt is a guy in the groups. He lives up in Eugene. That's 2.5 hours away. So that would be cool to hook up with somebody like that.
Yeah, and I was planning on, because before he came, because I do Reiki shares and stuff with him almost weekly. And I actually went to an event tonight that him and my friend Nikki were hosting. They do selenite and sound and drumming, and we connected with Ganesh and Lakshmi to bring in abundance. But I wanted to hook him up with you, and he was like totally open for it. But when he and Nikki left, I was with my mom.
With your mom, and if he came out here, he would even get to. Get this, he would even get to probably meet Mr. X from the Light Grid.
Ooh.
Yeah, he could meet Mr. X in his tactful ways. Yes. But that's a whole nother story. We keep the Light Grid separate. We're stupid on the Light Grid and enlightened in here. There we go. Yes, so if you want to hear me sing and act like a complete idiot, go to the Pleiadian Light Grid channel. But here on the PP, we deal with serious people like Bridget Rao and the impact in the community and the healing. And it's wonderful. Do you have any plans, like any future plans, maybe to, I don't know, you like travel when you know what I mean?
Oh my God!
Does the circuit and whatever she's doing now. I know she don't like Facebook at all. Marciniak don't like Facebook. If you see an account on there, it's fake. But people put fake on. She does the energy, and I don't blame her. I just wish once in a while maybe she'd have a page to say some stuff. But yeah, it's.
Right.
When you're that high of a vibration, I could totally see where Facebook would just
right. She just doesn't even need it,
She don't even want to go there. She knows better before even going there. Yeah.
Right. Like she's before Facebook. She came out. She already created her stuff before she needed to. It probably opened her up to a whole new level.
Before the internet was even invented, she had.
Right. So, like, she's just. I don't know. She's a different. Era, a different energy vibration, but I do want to I've actually had a lot of people recently giving me information. I'm with people all the time who are psychics, do readings. They're like, "Yeah, let me pull cards on you," and I've had quite a few people see me doing TED Talks. And I thought that was funny because they had no reason to both. Like 3 people said it, and it's not like they conversed with each other. They kind of just came out of it on their own. So I don't know what the talk would be about, but I've also
the synchronicity of that, though. The synchronicity of that too. It really speaks to everything going on more and more. So yeah, it's amazing.
I don't know what will happen. Maybe it'll be about addiction. Maybe it'll be about something. I plan on going to Peru, and I plan on going to Ireland to see Natalie. It's crazy, and this is what I mean about the chaos. Right. I had so much stuff planned that I was supposed to be like getting in line with, and everything just came to a halt, and I had to completely step away from working with Blue Angel, and now I'm just basically working with Darnell, who lives 5 minutes away from me at Shantishala, and I have people who I'm supposed to be meeting to go travel to other places around here, but it's just one day at a time right now as I get through this stuff with Mom.
Right, and these are all things you can do. It's not a matter of like, sometimes you ever get that feeling you got so much you want to do and so much to do that you don't do anything?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, you've got a pretty big reason right now to take a step back, but exactly, these are all things that are going to come to you. I see you doing all this. It's just a matter of letting it flow, I guess, and if it'll be, and doing what you need to do and taking care of you and things like that. But sometimes you get so much going on, it's like, what the fuck do I want to start with first?
Well, when I was creating the website that I made, years ago, it's exactly what I had said to my mom. I was like, I don't know what I want to do. Like, I wanted to create a place where people could come, and I wanted to share my art, and I wanted to share my poetry, and I wanted to write, and I wanted to, I wanted it to be a collection of everything. So I ended up calling it Be Creatively You. And the whole premise of this was to inspire everyone to be themselves, whether it be yourself as bipolar, yourself as an artist, or yourself as an asshole, whatever. Just to embrace every part of you. And then
how about a bipolar drunk asshole drug addict? There you go.
Yeah, but the thing is, if that's you, fucking own it and
embrace it, man. Go with it really seriously. Get inside yourself and go within. I mean, we say go within all the time, and I'm hammering this point home. Really, go within. What do you think? What do you feel? You can you can talk to people and get advice and things like that and let it resonate with you, but I wouldn't get hung up on something, and we've said this a million times because somebody said it, you, me, Barbara Marciniak, David Wilcock, David Icke. I mean, what do you think? I mean, you know, they'd ask you, what do you think? What the fuck do you think?
And that's what I think is the biggest part, is like when I was going through all my information in the beginning, and the information, there's tons of shit that I've heard out of Barbara Marciniak, and there's tons of shit that I've heard in 5D, and not all of it, you know, I just dismiss the pieces that I'm like, no, that doesn't fit into my reality.
You put it back like an apple you don't want, exactly. You know what I mean? Take what resonates with you and mix it together, and that's what's great about having all those resources, man.
Right, and then you have your own version, and a lot of people, you know, they take your word for it because you're channeling and you must be getting but the thing is, whoever's channeling, whether it be me, Larry, Barbara, whoever, we all are conscious beings, so any information that comes into our body and comes out of our mouths is going to have a little piece of us in there. And because we have that automatic human thing that says this information doesn't jive with me, it's not going to come out of our mouths.
Exactly, it's like higher self source. I mean, have you heard that one amazing guy? I don't know who he is, the Looney Lyran. Wow,
yeah,
isn't he really phenomenal? Yeah.
I love him. Yeah.
I've really looked up to him. I think everybody should check him out. But exactly, when you're in that mode, it's not like shit's going to come through you like I am the devil. Blah, blah. It's just getting relaxed and in a flow of letting it go through you. And it's amazing how it happens, you know?
Yeah, and the first few times that it happened, I didn't even realize that it was happening. I had to have other people tell me, like, yo, that was definitely, you know, because I started doing guided meditations, and people are like, you know, within a few minutes, your voice changes, your face changes, everything about you, like the vibration, it's just a completely different thing. And then when and then it started getting to the point, like, I'll go through an hour meditation, and when we come back, I'll have been sitting in a position, my legs fell asleep one time because I was squatting, like I was like kneeling on my knees, and I couldn't walk, like I couldn't stand up or anything afterwards. I had to like pull myself over to my mom, who was laying there, and I'm like, Mom, I can't move. And she's like, why? And I'm like, because I stayed in this one position for an hour. And she's like, you're an idiot. But I don't completely leave. Like, I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, I don't remember anything that was said. I have to listen. I remember what's said, but some part of my consciousness checks out. Hey! Hi, buddy. Sorry.
They're sure excited over that. Wow.
I know. But do you know what I mean? Like, when you channel information, you're aware of what you're channeling. You're not like out of, like, you don't have to listen back later.
No, I would call mine mostly conscious contact with them, like visual with the orbs, and then I have a lot of telepathic communications right when I want it. If I need it, if I need to ask something, I do. If I don't, I just let the orbs sit there and, you know, grin and hang out. But, you know, but a lot of times, sometimes I can get relaxed and I will actually channel. And I could a lot more, it's just that I don't. But I have sometimes. I've had it hit me right when I've been on Facebook before and get into a flow. And I've seen glimpses of other people start channeling that don't even realize it. I've seen source come through people for like short spills, you know, that they're doing or something that they're passionate about. And I feel like I'm starting to see that too in just typical everyday people. Like, we're not typical everyday people, but now we're a couple of weirdos. But you know what I mean? It just seems like sometimes consciousness can come through people, and I think you can affect them like that too. Like, Bridget, if you were around somebody talking with them, I mean, you know, you might get them in the mode where maybe they start really spouting a little bit of wisdom that just came out of nowhere, you know?
I do know what you mean, because I actually saw that tonight when we were going to be doing the crystal bowls and the drumming and everything. Before we even started, everybody's sitting in a circle, and they go and they introduce themselves and what they're planning to accomplish, like what their intention is for the night. And everybody had like a huge glow around them. Their auras were like whoom, whoom. And certain people, depending on what they were talking about, because this is when they get down to their honesty, like, okay, this is what I want tonight. You can tell the people who aren't comfortable saying it, and the people who are just like being genuine and letting that information come out so that they can really heal. And yeah, you can see that glow around them. Especially with the work that I do, like, I see people transform all the time My friend Sherry is like an awesome channel. Every time she does a session on anybody, it's like this whole beautiful sereneness comes over her, and she just, even people who receive on the table. I mean, I've seen this one woman, she looked like a little girl, like she had like a little childlike China doll face in her healing session, and it was just, everybody commented on it after. They're like, oh my God, your face completely changed. So yeah, I see it all the time. And I don't notice it necessarily in like the grocery store or anything, but I do see it a lot, more and more every day.
Yeah, I think I notice it in the grocery store a little bit too with people, like just the way they interact with each other. It's just something real subtle that you have to be there to see, to pick up on. But I feel like I'm seeing that totally. And you can usually detect, like you were saying about detecting people that were okay, they'd have the glow around them or whatnot. It's like we can't see these people, but like I've ranted a million times about people that come into the group. Two different people could ask the same question, about a certain thing, and you could tell if one was just lazy and just doing it and want you to do all the work, or if somebody was really truly curious like you and I were and just did tons of research when we first awakened, right? Always
Right.
on YouTube, and then you can tell somebody that's sitting there that looks like they got a tweed in their mouth then they're sitting in Pinocchio, Oklahoma, going, "How do I know I was a Pleiadian? How do I know that a star seed? I only matched 12 with the 14." On YouTube, well, I don't know. How do I know? How do I know? Well, look it up. Look it up. You could look it up quicker than I could tell you. There's YouTube. There's Google. I mean, shit, man. You could have all the answers you want before I could tell you. So why would you, and I'm telling you this, you'd be better off doing that, but no, they want to, well, what if it's Anna and all that shit? I mean,
Stop. I get so mad at people, not necessarily mad, but frustrated, all the time with whether it be, am I Pleiadian or this or that or that. Like, they ask questions that anybody could.
Am I a cliche or a label?
Yeah, anybody can just freaking Google an answer to anything. Like, it doesn't matter. If you want to build a fucking front porch, Google it, YouTube it, you'll know. Like, I don't know. I'm just that type of person that I don't have any question go unanswered. And when people ask me questions, I'm like, like, I feel like I should have a .com across my forehead or something, because it just gets to the point where it's like, don't you have any answers yourself,
Really? And Bridget, that leads me...
Hello?
I muted out. There goes my... Yeah, every time the energy. Did you find that when you first awoken, like, and you were hitting YouTube, did you find that... did you find like that sometimes your source and your guides and the Pleiadians were leading you to certain things to find on there? That was a big thing for me, and that happened all the fucking time for about 2 years, 3 years.
It still happens. I was talking about my friend.
Now and then, but it was ferocious then.
Yeah, I remember the first video I ever watched, and it was funny because I think I was watching like the Discovery Channel or something with my mom one night, and all of a sudden it was like one of those like shows about like the cosmos or whatever, and I was like, that's not right. Like, I don't even know what they're talking about. They're talking about like meteors and blah 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 blah, and I was like, no. And I told my mom what my version of it was, and she was like, that actually makes sense. And then I started having all these questions. I was looking out my front door, and like a billion questions started pouring into my head, and I was like, oh God. And I sat down on YouTube because I wanted to look up something, and in the little suggested videos was 10 signs of a spiritual awakening. You've probably seen it with the green head with the smoke going in the ears.
Followed by the 9 signs and the 11 signs. Yes.
Yeah. So that was the first one I ever watched, and I was like, oh my God. And I never went to church. I never believed in like God. I was just a sarcastic human being. Like, I just felt I didn't really have much to believe in. I always knew as a kid that there was like magic and stuff like that, but I got very jaded as the years went on, and a lot of shit happened to me. But when I saw that video, it was like it reawoken stuff that I had shut off a long time ago. And for months upon months, Jamie used to come downstairs and find me passed out asleep, because I would just sit there for hours upon hours watching videos and reading stuff, and it was all intertwined. You know, you have 85,000 tabs open because it's like, I want to read that and that and that and that and that and that and that, and I want to see that. You know, I'd run out of the watch laters and have to like start a new account on YouTube because I put too many on there.
Oh my God, that's crazy. You know, yeah, I would just look forward to the next Pleiadian channelings, whether it was from Marianne Rada or whether it was from Wendy Kennedy or whether it was from Weston Ack, Lou Martin, all of them, Marianne Rada, you know, and I would, you know, who else? Pixie, I mean, you know.
Magenta Pixie.
Yeah, Sheldon Idle telling me that the money is coming soon for the last 5 years. Yeah, you know, things like that, and the Galactic Trash Tar Command, and the big day's coming. The big day's coming.
Yeah.
It's coming. It's the end of the world. Is it tomorrow or just the end of time? I don't know.
Right. There was what do you call it? The every time I would look for that stuff, there's like that thing like within the past week, you can set the settings so that you can find whatever you're looking for within the past.
I'm very familiar with it.
Yeah, I was always doing that.
So that night when you were watching the Discovery Channel, did that trigger your awakening?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, when I went to bed early one night with a migraine, it was the weirdest thing, and my radio station wouldn't come in that I listened to. It was Democratic political talk, and I turned it to Coast, and it was some story about, it wasn't having anything to do with the Pleiadians, but they mentioned them. It was about the Eisenhower, you know, the Greys trading us abductions for technology, you know, the story. And right. And they mentioned the Pleiadians had made them a deal too for all this stuff, but the Pleiadians wanted everybody to get rid of the nuclear weapons on Earth, and military industrial complex was like, no. And they said the word Pleiadians, and I heard it. It was like I didn't think anything of it, but I did think something of it. I was like, okay, that's weird. It stuck with me, and then the next night, I basically had the beginning of my first contact with this huge star right in my trees. I mean, so low, and then it just went from there. I just started looking shit up, and then the third night, I got up to go to the bathroom at 2 in the morning, and I looked out my window over these cranberry bogs by my house, which they're the largest organic in the world, by the way. This thing, Bridget, I looked out over the bay, over the Pacific, and this thing blinked green, it blinked red, it blinked silver, and then it shot up and it stretched a 1/4 mile wide long, and it had green at one end, red at the other, with lights in it. It was probably 1/8 of a mile to a 1/4 mile long, and I looked at it. I was like, "What the fuck?" And it closed. Then it closed. Then it closed. So by that, what I knew for sure was A, yes, it's totally fucking real. All these extraterrestrials coming through portals, or B, worse than that, the military's up to some shit with holograms. Which they do that. They do use ET holograms. There's a book called Project Camellia that talks about that. They can be invisible. So that right there, and the second part should alarm people more than ETs. What in the fuck would the government be testing holograms for? So see, when you know something for sure, and like when you make contact with them, like we have the stars and my orbs that come in, when you know for sure, it's just like, okay, it's an amazing feeling because you know for sure you've got it narrowed down to that, and this is what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it's real.
Right. I had a lot of that happen when I lived on Woodhaven, and I at like Christmas time I went out and bought a telescope for the kids because I was like, I want to look at through the telescope, and for weeks upon weeks I'd be outside looking at stuff, and I have pictures of like they almost look like pyramids or like octagons. It's all different types of shit that I saw. In different colors and things like that. But then I went through the beginning where I was like, oh, all this cool stuff coming in, and then I went through that like dark stage where I was like, oh my God, the government's trying to kill us, and there's FEMA camps, and there's coffins, and blah, 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 blah. And then I started questioning, like, is this real? Are these beings real, or is somebody just fucking with with me? Like, am I a target?
Is this love that I'm feeling? Yeah.
And I even looked into schizophrenia for a while because I thought I was just completely fucking psycho.
Oh, that's cool.
Moving here, there was one night that a huge star came And at first I thought, I'm like, is that a helicopter? I even called Jamie, and he came outside, and this big, huge star came, and it just got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and then it changed colors. And
exactly, yep.
And I was like, and the feeling that rushed over me, and I'm not, this is, I didn't even know what to say. I was like, it's a miracle, is exactly what I said. And it kept happening week after week. It was happening, every night at the same time they'd come. And they were here just a little while ago when I was talking to you before the show started. They always show up at the right time. And the feeling that you feel from it is love. When you see that other shit that's like government or questionable, you know it. And I feel like it could almost be other entities too. Like it may not even necessarily be our government. It may just be assholes from somewhere else that just give you that bad vibe.
Well, yeah, it is. As far as running things, it isn't our government. Of course, it's controlled 4 or 5 levels up on the. Joe Garcia and I talked about that the other night on the light grid. It's controlled 4 or 5 levels up from any world leader, basically. And why wouldn't it be that way? Of course, it is. And
right.
Then beyond that, you have to ask yourself, okay, breakaway civilizations, extraterrestrial control, wars up there, the Nazi bases in Antarctica, where the Pleiadians that Billy Meyer saw, really Nazis that lived in Antarctica. All this shit is true. It's weird, and it's all intertwined with each other. Everything's true. Everything's a lie. Everything's false. Everything's right. Everything's got a million degrees in it. You know what I mean? It's just everything's kind of just gone out the window, rules and structure-wise. I don't know where I went off on that tangent. I mean, but
no, but
yeah.
We are all the creators of our own reality, and everything's an expression of frequency and energy. So basically anything you give your energy to is going to be manifested around you anyhow. So, yeah. And think about all the people here experiencing their own version of consciousness and their own version of energy. They're creating all these things too. So, like, yeah, there is the government doing that stuff, and yeah, there is negative entities doing stuff, and there is positive ones doing stuff. Just align yourself to be in the frequency of the good, and you'll be good.
You know what? I like that. For anybody out there, I do got to say this though. I've been looking for somebody who wants to co-host shows with me, preferably a female. No particular reason why that is. Just kind of add a balance and, a little spunky if they want to come on air and try. I mean, as long as they sit there and just everything that I say or to come up with, I want them to just say, that really resonates with me. That really resonates with me.
I ain't gonna do that. I'll come on, but I won't lie.
I know you won't. No, and I know you won't. I'm looking for somebody, one of these rookies, to come on.
Okay, you want a little bitch.
No, that really resonates with me. That really
resonates. I need somebody who's just gonna agree with everything I say all the time.
But really, though, on a funny note, the word frequency, I really like the word frequency. I really resonate with the word frequency. I just like that word. You know what I mean?
I don't at all, no.
Okay, well. Let me go around in a circle and explain it and have you more confused than now. But it reminds me, frequency reminds me that we have that ability to tune in. Of course, Barbara talks about us being radio stations that can tune into whatever, motherships, our higher self, soul collectives, other planets, even people on other planets, and go higher. So I really like that, and I'm tired of being stuck on that same frequency band of that one boring radio station. Like
Same old tunes.
Oh yeah, I've probably read her book. I don't know. I've listened to it several hundred times on audio, and I've read it a few. But what's funny? As I went back and read stuff in that book a few times, of course, you'll go back and you read stuff. Oh, yeah, I remember that, and you forget it. But I swear on about 3 or 4 occasions I went back and I've seen shit in there that really wasn't in there the time I read it before.
That's because your frequency had raised and your consciousness was able to experience that.
That's a good point. No, really, that hits home. Because I was trying to come up with some cockamamie thing like, oh no, she came back from time to put that in there. but that book was written in 1992. But you know what? If you listen to some of the stuff and she's talking about the 20 years and stuff, it almost sounds like she's talking from a 2010 perspective.
I think it's one of those. Now, with a lot of channeling, it's timeless. Okay, so
right.
It doesn't matter when you read it, and a lot of people, like, when I posted my channeling, they're like, the Pleiadians don't talk about time, and I'm like, Yeah, they do. We are here in time. That's part of our consciousness. So for them to give us information, they need to come down to a level and express it to us. Like, how else are we going to understand these concepts unless they tell us a little bit about it?
Well,
But
go ahead.
it is timeless. You know, you can listen to a channeling that was made in 2008, and it goes so exact. Every time I've ever listened to any channeling, regardless if it's Nigel Sheldon or
Yes.
it aligned.
We love you so very much.
Right. But it was the information that was in it was what I needed to hear at that time. Didn't matter if it was a week old or 7 years old. You hear what you need to hear when you need it.
You know what? Totally. And that's how it happened for me. And here's something I've got. I think I've asked you this, but I have asked probably, I wouldn't be lying if I said maybe I've asked close to 1,000 people this question that feel like they have Pleiadian roots. Every single one of them to a T, except for 2 of them, and they had just heard it in passing years, but they had never heard the term Pleiadians until they awoken.
Mm-hmm.
Had you ever heard of that?
I have, honestly, I don't know if I did. I don't think I did until I awoke.
Yeah, I had one person say they had heard about it in an astronomy class when they were little, and then another person said they saw 15 years before that, like Billy Meyer's thing on HBO, and then didn't think about it anymore. But every other person's story is like, no, they first heard the word. And it's strange because I'd listened to Coast for years, off and on, and I'd heard about other shit, but I had never heard about it. And it's really like you don't get drawn to them until you raise that frequency. Maybe you're onto something there. You know what I mean? Maybe you don't,
And it's funny because whenever I do like the journeys to Alcyon or Pleiadian meditation or whatever, I say to people, you know, if you look back through time and history, they're depicted in almost every culture around the world. I mean, the Pleiades or the Pleiadians have been talked about for centuries. But yeah,
just about every culture. African jungle, big city street, Scandinavia, Peru, Australia, the Aborigines, Native Americans, even it's mentioned in the
Bible. It's everywhere. So it depends on how you.
That's the Pleiades. Yeah.
It just depends on how you. I can't think of the name of it.
Matt Kahn before. Have you ever heard of Matt Kahn?
No, I don't think so.
He does talk about the Pleiadians, and he ties it into the religious aspect, like, pretty good. So, for people to come back to that point, people come up and go, well, Pleiadians don't do that. First of all, I don't care if I said Pleiadians are addicted to snorting glue. Somebody comes up and thinks that they don't do that. I mean, right away, I know their mentality. Well, they don't do, okay. How do you know? You know what I mean? No, they don't do that. They don't. I posted this one video. It has this all kinds of weird, trippy Pleiadian music in it. It shows, their ships at one point and shows their technology and all that. And this lady's like, "Oh no, the Pleiadians don't have anything like that. They're totally peaceful, loving." Yeah, well, they also know how to defend themselves too, very good in case they ever have to. I mean, it's like,
right. And
that couldn't possibly be.
Yeah, and that is what we've been talking about earlier. That was what people will hear information and they stick to it. It's that, what do you call it?
Yeah. David Icke said this. Sandra Bartz said this shit, so it must be right. David Wilcock was saying this.
Right. But they don't bother to tune in and check on it themselves. I'm like, pick up a fucking pendulum and you'll figure it out. What is but it's their version of the truth, so a lot of people have got the cognitive dissonance, and they're going to have it in any field, even though they think they're enlightened and awakening and blah, 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 blah. We all do it. I mean, I do it, you do it, we all do it. We all have we hold to our beliefs, and a lot of times our beliefs don't align with someone else's, but I try not to pass judgment or get caught up on it. I just allow people to think what they want to think, and I don't fight with them about it, because honestly, if they're a Pleiadian, it's a useless waste of time.
It was mine. No, it was mine. No, you're right. No, you're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, waste of time. And I mean, people get drawn into that. You can agree to disagree and have a talk, but see, there's the thing too, Bridget, right? You can have a lively talk with somebody, maybe disagree at the beginning, and it turns out smooth, and you're talking and exchanging ideas, but then you get somebody, and you just know that no matter what, if you say up, they'll say down. If you say right, they'll say left. You say goodbye, and I'll say hello, and you know what I mean? You know in that tone, and you pick up when the conversations go in that direction. You know.
No, I have no idea what you're talking about. No, I'm just kidding. I was like, oh, is he gonna give me something so I can do it to him?
yeah. Let me explain to you about blinking. Have you ever heard of blinking? Yeah, I mean, exactly. It's just, but you can pick up that tone. I think that's what it's all about, is the intuitively knowing little things like that, right? Just knowing, like, okay, if somebody's asking a question one way, somebody's asking another way, you can pick up a couple comments usually into it where it's going. You know what
right.
I mean? You know already, and you have to really watch yourself, because you'll just say, fuck it, not go there. Maybe once in a great while you'll be wrong, but you get to a point where you really just know, oh God.
Right.
Be cool.
I find it since doing the Munay-Ki, I find it so much easier to deal with people. Especially like what we're talking about, there's a lot of people out there who are negative and they're stuck in their little world of and it doesn't matter what you tell them. Like someone's in a bad mood and you're like, oh, it's going to get better. It's not going to get better. I just allow myself to kind of get into where they are at and to look at it through their eyes, and then I'm okay with it, rather than like taking offense to anything these people are saying or engaging in any type of argument or even bothering to like continue on and like, oh, it's going to be okay. I feel like I can like sympathize with them and understand where they're coming from, and then we get on a more aligned track where I can be like, oh, you're right, and see it from their point of view, but then it opens up that doorway to be able to get them to see it from the other person's point of view or from the other standpoint of a perspective. And that's why I love the Munay-Ki so much, is because it gives you the ability to see things from different points of perspective, whether you're in a relationship. Like me and Jamie used to fight all the time. I mean, it's not always peaches and cream, but I'm able to realize when he's being a douchebag, why he's being a douchebag, and then I can kind of fix it. I don't know if that makes sense or if I'm just rambling, but
it really does. And you know what? It really triggered something in me when you said that, because you spoke about the Munay-Ki really helping you with that. Like, I think the help that I got from the Munay-Ki, it's weird. It didn't hit me until, I mean, it's like just now, lately, hitting me kind of finally.
The Munay-Ki?
Yeah, the rites. It's really strange. I got like a delayed reaction with it all.
Well, you know what? Giving the rites really turned it on for me. Every time I give the rites to someone, it's like another step in that energy. From the first person I gave the rites to now, it's a totally different experience. The energies are so much more increased. I almost like want to go back to the people who I first did it with and like do it again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was never given them except for that Snake rights, right? And I was just really just learning about it then, and I went on air and we were having audio problems that day, but I really feel like it helped me. I wish the audio wasn't so bad in it, because it would have been a good show, but I kept cutting out, and I don't expect people to put up with that. I would get impatient with that, but that was like something that my subconscious was picking up on, just filing away for later, and I mean, it's exactly right there. You can use those rights. You don't have to go, through any real structure that somebody said in a book. I know Natalie's real big on, those are your rights, and I like that way of thinking.
Well, Jeff, the one who was actually just out in Coos Bay, he went through the rites, and the whole teachings that like he's big on is making it your own. And once you receive them, you have all of this stuff to work with. You can work through it by giving other people the rights, or you can just be in a situation, say you're somewhere and you see someone who's pregnant, and maybe they're going through a hard situation. Call on the daykeepers, who are the feminine. They were the herbalists. They're the visionaries. They have that feminine aspect where they come in and like kiss the boo-boo and make it better. or you call on the hummingbird. I've been calling on the hummingbird a lot, which is the archetype for your solar plexus, who assists you in getting through the most difficult journeys. So there's all different aspects of the Munay-Ki and offerings and things that you can get out of it, whether it's from the archetypes, whether it's from a lineage, or whether it's from a keeper. You know, it's just an open door to healing in a whole new world.
Totally, and I think there's so much. I think really just the base of it's been touched. There's so many intricacies within it, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's exciting. You know, new rites may come up. Little sub-rites within rites may come up, you know, right? It's like I look at the chakra. You look at the chakra in alignment going up and down. Well, I think that it splits off to the side and your chakras stand off to the side and, you know what I mean, you create other universes, whatever, you know, your whole... I need to come down to 40 to explain this, but yeah, infinite. Everything is infinite.
Mm-hmm. I just went through the new paradigm master teacher class, and we work in vortexes, and it's all intertwined with the violet flame, and it's all channeled by it's channeled information from Saint Germain and all the ascended masters, and it was really cool because I feel like those two things work well together, and it's funny because when I sent in my information to the new paradigm mtd.org thing to be listed on their site as a teacher, the person who sent back an email had signed it in Munay, which is in love, and it's part of the Munay-Ki. So I was like, oh my God, it was just such confirmation that they worked well together. So I don't know if that's something you can look into, but I think the new paradigm would be huge for you because there's no rules. It's not like Reiki. You know, you get it, you can use it, you do what you want. It's all intuition. It's like you don't have to learn hand positions, and it's all about using your intention, which is a lot like the Munay-Ki. So that's something I think is cool.
I don't have to sit and do telekinesis for 18 hours a day and cross-leg. No, would you send me, on a side note, would you send me any information you have on it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would appreciate it.
And there's a website. So the only thing about the new paradigm is none of it can be done long distance. The activations have to be done in person, but there's a huge website where you can go wherever you're located in the world, and you can find a teacher that will be able to give you the activation. So I'll send you a link to the website, but it's totally that. I got the first one. I got Basic Master a year ago, and I felt like a huge shift. And then I got the Munay-Ki, and then I started doing a lot of work, and then I just got the Basic Master Teacher, and I really feel like I stepped into my power. And that's what it's all about. It's about stepping into who you're becoming. It's about stepping into your power, your self-worth, honoring yourself. And I think it would be perfect. And it's also about channeling, too. Like, it opens up another doorway to channeling. So it just feels like these two things work well together. So if you're in the Munay-Ki or not, and you just feel like you want to do something like that, the new paradigm can also be very good for you. And it works a lot with the star beings.
It's obviously worked for you. I cannot believe how far you have come. You're just so amazing. From that girl that was asking me questions in the group. Remember, I was just trying to tell you to share your poems. Hey, look, share your poems are great. Get them out there. People can do this stuff, right? Hey,
thank you.
Amazing. You've come so far, and the channeling, like I said, I would encourage people to really listen to that channeling you did. It was just fucking phenomenal.
I think it's crazy how, you know, I just randomly one day just did it, and I put it out there, and there's like so many people who just listen to it and comment, and some people can't hear it, and I think that's exactly what we're talking about earlier, is some of them aren't ready to hear it because other people hear it perfectly fine.
Well, it's a high frequency. I mean, I would even, like I said, I put it in that next, not level, but you're the next phase after the Barbara Marciniaks and after Marianne Radas and Wendy Kennedy's. And I'm not saying a lot, but the way you're getting it is, I can't explain something. I can't explain a feeling like that, okay? But when I'm listening to that, I'm hearing like the next phase, you know what I mean? And with a little more knowledge is what, and that's just because as time goes on, that's what we've gotten. But it's amazing. You're almost, you know what? You're better now than the Looney Lyran even.
Oh my God, no.
I know.
No.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah.
You know, you freak me out when you say all this stuff because I'm like, what the hell? Like, is the next one even going to be any good? Like, it's like,
Yeah, now you force yourself to do one. Have you ever been in that mode where you wanted to do one, but just it wasn't the timing wasn't right?
yeah, you know what? I like to, I do a lot of automatic writing. And that's a lot easier for me because I do have 5 dogs and a fiance, and we live in a one-room basement like area where anything I do is affected by other beings. So there's a lot of times I do want to do videos and I can't, and there's a lot of times that I have the option to do a video and I can't. So
Yeah, if you had all that set up, yeah, I know yeah, you'd be all over the place, girl. Not that you're already not getting there, but yeah,
I know I have a microphone. I need to get like a stand and like a room where I can go close the door and not have 5,000 interruptions and
God,
yeah.
you know, the reason too I'm so interested in sending you this information is because it's like, okay, people offer information all the time, but right with me personally, I've seen you go through, kind of like watch, your progression go. And so I realized that, and you and I have a lot of the same lineage as far as star beings go. So, I mean, I really feel like, yeah, thank you. I will take a look into it versus somebody else. I might just say, oh, yes, and whatever. And, usually half the time it's not even anything that would interest me. But I, I get a good feeling about this one, and two, I've seen what it's done for you, and it's been amazing. It's just been amazing. It just seems like just yesterday, or just, well, maybe it was yesterday. You were
It's this never-ending now moment.
in the source
But
code, whatever it is that consciously goes.
it is unreal though, like to look back in such a short time how much has changed in my life and how I feel and the amount of information and I went from being alone all the time to being surrounded by so many awesome people, and like I get to talk to you and I get to talk to Natalie. I've been invited to go stay in Ireland. I have plans to go to Peru. I mean, I went from being sheltered and having nowhere else to go except for like Facebook groups to being able to like just be surrounded in so much love and healing, and it is awesome. And that's why I want other star seeds to go out there and experience it. You don't have to come to me. I mean, go out there and find it for yourself. Go find your community.
Come on, tell your story. Come on, Pleiadian Express Productions and tell their story. Hey, Bridget,
Yes.
oh, we don't. I thought we had some more people down in the actual room. I should have done a Q&A before this. I have an option to do a Q&A where people can type in questions, but I see we do have one person in the room. I wonder if they might have a question for us. No, they're muted.
They're muted. That's okay. Well, we can do another show, and I actually wanted to put that out there anyway. Like, I like being able to answer people's questions. So,
And we
and
can do it on the fly too on the PEP. It doesn't take an event page. A lot of times they don't, so we do them on the fly because Bridget, we don't exist in time here on the PEP. And exactly, come back on. And if people wanted to, I don't know, submit some questions to you or me or whatever, those are things we could answer. And of course, I know you and I want to talk about the Starseed Addiction issue again. And I want to do
yeah.
another show on it, but I've been waiting for you because the time is right. Whenever, it's not like I'm pushing, but when the time is right, it'll happen. And I'd like
Right.
to share with you exactly.
Well, I mean, Saturday nights work for me, so maybe next Saturday we can do a talk about the addiction.
Pleiadian Saturday Night Live. Yes, exactly. I agree. I think next Saturday night we should, we'll do that. If you're up for it, we could talk a little bit about, our addictions and I'll go back and stuff and the audio that
Yeah. It took a long time for me to actually come out and be honest about it, especially like in my personal community. But I'm at a point now where I'm like ready to embrace that and show people like look where you can go from to where you can be.
Yeah. God damn it, I'm a junkie and proud of it. It's me. It's who I am, and it's what I'm working through. I'm
Right.
working through that on my journey, and you know what? Fuck, it's so unreal to me to think of people judging because I don't have any judgment left, but I still got about 10%, 15% ego. But the judgment, I can't see I can't see looking at somebody and just saying, oh, well, that person or they do this. Or they, I mean, I don't even understand that. I don't understand such terms.
It sucks, like I have family members and, people like who know my past who will always look at me as that person. Like when my mom got sick, my stepdad had said stuff to my sisters like, "Oh, I don't want Bridget to have her pocketbook or her credit cards or her number." And here I am, paying everything. Like I paid all her bills and I've saved her up enough money so that when she gets out, she's actually farther ahead than she was when she went in. And he saw that. He didn't see that in the beginning, but then he realized like, oh shit, she paid all the bills. Oh shit, she's got money for her. Wow. But his natural instinct, because I was an addict in the past, was to make sure that I had no access to that stuff. But even Jamie will worry about that, and that's because Jamie's never done drugs or anything. So he gets on a thing where he's like, "You better not ever do drugs, or I'll leave you." And I'm like, "I have no fucking reason to."
Mentality like that. They've never done it before, and it's not just that. Sometimes it's a low consciousness that they don't get it. It's complicated. I mean, what can I say? I can't accept that it's everything's an individual. I hear you're labeled with that forever, and well, there's people that live in 3D with tunnel vision and want to get up, go to work, worry about what they're going to have for lunch, worry about what they're doing, worry about what they're doing. They're never living in the now moment. You know what I mean? What's on? Dancing with the Stars on. Kardashians on. There's something on that's going to melt my brain even more. And so they're never living in that now moment. It's always thinking ahead, and when they're not doing that, they're stepping on some shit in the past. So you're never putting it together in that now moment. You know what I mean? The now moment. But really, the now moment is just doing what you're doing and enjoying the people you're around at the time and not tripping on this, tripping on that, getting actually lost in that now moment. You know what I mean? That's kind of like living, really.
I don't even feel like I'm that person at all anymore. I look back and I'm like, I don't even know who that is. And the only times that I'm ever reminded of it is when someone else brings it up. I feel like I've gone beyond that point. But recently it's come up to my attention that like, oh, I should probably try to help other people who are going through that. Or, struggle, because I notice a lot of people struggle with staying sober. It's like a fight every day, but I don't really feel that way. I'm like, whatever, like, I feel like I have other stuff in my life now that took the place of that void.
Exactly. It's all up to individual choice. It's not like everybody that's completely say, I'm going to quit forever, whatever. Everybody's got their own pace to go to, and it's like you've got something filling that void in your life, right? And it just, I've heard it time and time again. I've heard it from other people. If you're supposed to tell a story, you just left her the feeling to do that, right? And occupy. So it's up to the individual and their path. And it doesn't mean that if you're an alcoholic you never have a beer again, or doesn't mean, oh God, I'm an addict so I can't ever smoke a joint. I mean, these rules that people put, like, oh, everybody wants such a structure and a quick fix to everything. People like, okay, well, since you fucked up like that in addiction, you can never. I mean, it's like they're resentful to you because, like, you did that to piss them off. You, Bridget Rao, the heroin addict, just a fucking thing.
Right. And you're right. And for star seeds, rules are no good for us.
Yeah.
If you tell me that I was a heroin addict and because I was a heroin addict I can never smoke a joint, I'm going to be like, fuck you, I'm going to smoke a joint right now and show you that I can and not go back to doing heroin. But it's, we need to be on our own terms, and we need to be supported and loved no matter who we are or what we've done or what we're going to do. We can't be told what to do.
We need to be our brother and sister's helper, not their keeper. You know what I mean? We need to be responsive instead of reactive. And Mr. X just dropped by and said it's called respect. But, I mean, frankly, honestly, and this sounds pretty bold, but really, I don't have I have no real empathy towards this people that, oh, well, God, I'm so worried. Oh, what am I doing? What the fuck after get really looking at everything in the bigger picture and having tunnel vision. You know what I mean?
You're cutting out a little bit, but
Yeah,
I
no.
heard.
I mean, yeah, it's just, it makes you feel like you're never quite good enough, you know?
Yep. Yep. No matter what you do, there's gonna be people who look at. That's why I love, the people who I've met now. They meet me and they're like, and then they look at me and they're like, I can't even imagine that. Like my best friend Joan's like, I don't even like, it's beyond her capacity to understand or even see me. She believes me, but she doesn't believe it. You know what I mean?
Never guessed it either. I would have thought maybe you had a glass of wine and then maybe you'd smoked a joint before, and I never would have thought that for sure. And I mean, I'm not, and I'm the most open-minded person or one of them. I really just wouldn't have pegged you for that. You know what I mean?
Right, but that's good because it means that I'm no longer a vibration of that. But I'm sure at some point I don't even when I was though I was like a what they call a functioning addict, and nobody ever knew.
Most starseeds are
Right.
function. You hit the wall.
I felt like I did better while I was,
No.
you know what I mean? Like I had more shit together. Like I had a car and money and I had a job and I paid all my bills and I had credit and stuff like that. And it was when I stopped that I went into a cocoon because I was afraid if I had money or anything, I would no longer be able to be sober. So I kind of went into this, like, I don't even know, hibernation point where I was afraid to do anything because I thought I'd do drugs if I did.
That's interesting you say that, and everybody says that. I've never, I've been an addict too, and I've never had that thought though that if it were like I was quitting, like that I would want to go, that I want to talk to myself and that was either I want to myself and that was to get high, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people, and they preach and stuff, to stay away from triggers, stay away from things like that, which is I understand, but it's not. If I want to go there, I'm gonna fucking go there, or I'm not. You know what I mean? It's kind of one of those things for me. And actually, you know what? With AA, I like it, but I don't. I've been at one on this man. I don't like treatment centers. I think they're all fucking. They really are. They're a corporation. They don't want to. I mean, yeah, they want everybody to be here. They go out of business.
Right.
They're very low consciousness. They are trying to. Yes, thanks, Mr. X. Yes, they are helping people. But they are, but it's the whole system that doesn't understand. And when you take into consideration the stars connection and shit, it's complicated, right? But AA, what I've noticed, is kind of judgmental and whatever is whatever. But I don't believe in forcing people to do that shit. And I don't believe in fucking treatment centers really need to get real about things because they use treatment centers, like, you say you got that vibe from, your family. I mean, but they're that to you in there. I mean, they really are, and it's just. And you know what I mean? We need to start treating it like an illness, which I'm glad to. So I was glad to see President Obama was at a heroin summit, actually talking to people at Suboxone and shit, and to really address it as an illness because people will go, well, you chose to do the drugs. Well, hey, you fat bastard, you chose to eat a bunch of sugar and get diabetes. Somebody who's like later in life, they are as bad as a drug addict. They chose to sit on their fat ass and eat sugar. They look at me, I don't do drugs, I just like sugar. I just like fucking sugar because I'm a lame dumbass that watches TV and I just eat sugar. That's it. That's my eye. Ho, ho. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome rant.
I do. I think we're getting to a point now though where people are starting to realize, there's more and more people who are open to helping and
Totally
being more aware of it. And I think the doctors are even, they're trying to not. But there's always going to be assholes out there who don't care and just prescribe whatever to whoever.
Unfortunately, there's some doctors that are wanted, but there's some doctors that have the fucking DEA breathing down their neck about their records. So you're prescribing pain pills. We need to get rid of the DEA and IRS and all that shit. We need anybody to.
Back in the time when I was an addict, though, I was like looking for those doctors. So. I guess everybody has their own perspective. I'd be like, oh, I want to find a doctor who's corrupt. Now it's like, we need to get rid of the corrupt doctors.
Yeah, well, a doctor ended up having to resign over all the shit he was prescribing me. I didn't say anything, but he was doing this to other people too, and I was the main one. He was refilling my prescription every 2 weeks. He was giving me 90, 80 milligram Oxycontins, which, I've quit, but I've been off them since like 2008. But I hear now that those things go for I don't know how much on the streets, 80 bucks on the streets someplace. I'm Jesus Christ. I had bottles.
Yeah.
I had bottles full of these big blue things.
We had that's what I started. I started on perks, and then I went to OCs, and then I went to heroin because I couldn't afford it because it was $80 a pill. Back then.
Yeah, 300, 400 Vicodin a month. Then it got up. Then he goes up. I actually went into quitting. I was just on the Vicodin side. I said, look, I'm needing some help. He says, no, I think that your pain, you need something stronger for your pain. And he put me on 10 milligram Percocets. Those did, I said, oh, these aren't doing very good. He put me on 20 milligram oxys. Oh, these aren't doing very good. I manipulated him to 40s, and that's fucking work the system. Opiates is a whole other ballgame. Nothing like it. There ain't nothing like the opiate addiction because your whole body hurts and feels like rubber bands. I don't understand it. You'll get an old person and go, oh, you're young. How can you hurt that bad? No, but it's a different kind of fucking thing. I don't care. Something 15 going through withdrawals. An athletic 15-year-old is going to hurt. It has more pain than any old fucking grandma who's never been out. I mean, I'm just laying it down like it is.
Yeah, it does. It does mess your body up, and it does make you sicker than you started.
Totally, it does. Your brain builds up a tolerance. What these doctors don't get to is your brain flips every 21 days, and your opiate tolerance goes up because it builds more receptors, which is the dopamine we have in our brain, right? Okay, so your opiate goes up and up and up and up with that shit quick. And if you're a starseed, really quick, and if you're a starseed, you can take drugs like that, or booze, or cigs, or whatever, whatever. But they don't realize, and they just don't. They need to be more open to Suboxone. I know you told me Suboxone work for you, but man, what a miracle for me. And I drugs like that they can give me. I mean, what they don't want, Bridget, is they don't want somebody that does coke or meth, right, to never have their tolerance increase. Because like medicines, they say that they have hidden. So like Uncle Bill's been drunk all his life. Now he's only going to need a couple double shots here and there, and eventually he'll wean off that on his own. They don't want that because the money is that out. They don't want you to. They don't want you to never need more than.
Right. And it's just one thing after another, and even, I know the Suboxone helps people, but even that is like the next step. It's like, okay, you get them addicted, and then you give them something else, and
Suboxone's a little bit of a different ballgame, though, because it stuffs those receptors, right? You can only use so many in a fucking day and really get off on it. Hey, that's it. And if people they're getting high, but eventually you use less and less and less on your own. I got down to using one every 2 days and none, because I got tired of going and getting them. This is my neighbor, and the neighbor kid and fucking my dad were, drinking out of them all the time, and I wasn't using them. I just got sick of it. So I just kind of but whatever. It's like, yeah, but I guess the Suboxone just didn't drive with you. Would you use methadone? Using methadone when you're off it?
Yeah, I did. And I didn't do what most people do. A lot of people go, and where I went was like you started on a low dose, and they took you up until you said you're okay. And a lot of people kept going beyond that point. I only went up to 50 milligrams, and then I came right down. They weaned you off a milligram every other day for 6 months. So, I went up for like 4 days, and then I stayed on it for 3 months, and then for 3 months I came down, and then I was done. But a lot of people go on to it and stay on it for years and years, and they go up to like 700 milligrams. And
this is more funny. I never was prescribed it, but I was prescribed all this other shit, and I'd buy the wafers. They used to make 40 milligram wafers, I'd buy them off the street. I'd eat all of them. I was up to like 740 milligrams.
Ugh.
I know, yeah. I'm lucky to be alive. I really am. I thank God every day for that. Really amazing. I look back on it. I don't think about it too much, but I lost a $100,000 a year career over it, and and everything for a reason, I guess. I went into a coma for 9 hours one night, and in 2006. So it's just things like that, right? You live and you learn.
Yeah, I think everything happens for a reason, definitely, and I feel like it gave us, we're able to be more empathetic to people who've hit rock bottom on certain levels. And I'm not, like I don't hold, and like you said earlier, you don't have any judgments towards people because you know what it's like to be in a bad position, in a bad place, and how hard it is to get yourself back from those places. I think it just makes you even more of an empath and a healer because you're able to relate to people on a different level. Moments where I wanted to kill myself, I can relate to people when they feel that way. And I feel like it helps us help them.
I do too. Do you ever remember a song by a group called Everlast, or Guy Everlast? I can't think of what the name of the song was, but I think it was called Whitey Ford Sings the Blues, and he's like, then you really might know what it's like. And he goes through all these scenarios where people judging people.
Yeah, I really like that song, and it's perfect. It's exactly, yeah, it's exactly what I'm saying.
Perfectly, yeah. Yeah, totally. It's insane. So, Hannah, I know we've been on here a while, and do you have anything else that you would like to we forgot to touch on, or I know we plan to do something in the future, of course, but is there anything that's pressing with you, or that you'd like to tell the people out there?
Not really. I mean, basically the whole thing, I feel like everything that's happened in my life up until this point, within this past year even, has just brought me to where I am now, and I'm ready to embrace the change, and I'm ready to step out and start doing different work and doing more channeling. And if anybody has any questions that they'd like to have a channeled answer to, I will be making those in the future. And if that's basically about it. It's going to be called Pleiadian Essentials, and if you want to come on and talk with me, and
anytime. Day or night, or whenever the now moment would.
Yeah.
All night.
It's going to be a mix. It's going to be like, I'm going to do some where it's just channelings, and then I'll do some where it's like, if I can find enough people who want to come on and share their story. I know I have tons of people who want to come on, so even some of those we could do together.
Put some of them my way, man. Put some of my way, and if they're wacky, they can come on the light grid and visit with Mr. X.
Yeah, definitely. I know I have tons of people who want to do interviews, and I would like to give them all different opportunities because, Pleiadian Blu-ray show is no longer happening, so I feel like this is the next step.
I think it shows too, hon, like really, I know all kidding aside with you screwing around, but we're multidimensional. The Pleiadians are multidimensional. Yeah, Mr. X is over in the light grid part of the studio, and he's down for the cause, so.
Awesome.
Awesome. So I think it would be wonderful. And why don't you, guess what I'm going to ask now? Why don't you go ahead and tell everybody out there in Cosmic Universal Electric Larryland where they might find you?
Well, you can find me at becreativelyu.com. That's my website. I offer readings and healings. I offer the Munay-Ki. I just got my new Paradigm Master Teacher. So if you're in the area, I offer healings in Plimpton, Massachusetts at Shanti Shali Yoga and Wellness Center. And I will be stepping out to some other places in the area soon, so you can follow me on Facebook. Divine Essentials New Paradigm Healing is my page, and Bridget Rao is my Facebook profile.
Can you give the folks directions out there on how to get to that place?
If you live in the area, I live in Carver, Mass. This is in Plimpton, Massachusetts. It's right on 58. If you are in the area, you can just message me because the directions there are kind of weird. Like if you put it in GPS, it's 55 Pleasant Street, Plimpton. But if you put it in your GPS, you need to put it in as Carver. It will take you like somewhere else.
Yes, I know it well from another life when I was back.
It's weird. It's like on the bogs. Yeah. So when people put in Plimpton, it takes them through the back bogs, and you can see it from there, but you're not on the road. Like you can just see it. You're on a bog. Like, hi. It's weird.
Bottom line, how far out of Boston are you? The metro area, real quick.
Well, my mom was at Brigham and Women's in Boston for the past 6 weeks, and it took me an hour and 20 minutes every day to get there without traffic, 2 hours to get there with traffic. So I am close to where the Pilgrims landed in Plymouth.
Lovely.
15 minutes and I can be at the Rock.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's great. The big fake rock.
Well, that was on the real, girl. You know, that was on the real. But so that's it. So that's it. That's it for you. That you don't have anything else to tell them where they could find you or get a hold of you. You're on Facebook from time to time, or did you mention that?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook. You can find me I'm with Pleiadian Express Productions. I'm on in all the groups, the Pleiadians Northeast, Pleiadians plus 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 plus. I think you've made me an admin for like every Pleiadian regional group, so.
Yeah, no, exactly, really, you're everywhere, and you can also find her at her timeline, Bridget Rao. You can find Bridget Rao.
Yeah, I said that.
Yeah, she doesn't just play Bridget Rao on Facebook. She really is in real life too.
Yeah, so, and Divine Essentials and BeCreativelyYou.com and Munay-Ki Rites with Bridget and everywhere and nowhere.
On and on and on. Yeah, like yeah, anyway, you know what? Here's where you can find yours truly, Rocken Larry Locken. You can find me, of course, at our website at, I'm going to get this right on this show, larrylocken.wix.com/Pleiadian Express. Their website. I wasn't reading that or anything. You can also find us at we have for the Pleiadian Light Grid Project. We have both a YouTube channel which does some crazy shit on there. Check it out. It's smaller. We have a page for it, which is the big page actually on Facebook. That's kind of weird. And then we have the Facebook page, Pleiadian Express Productions, and of course the channel, which on YouTube, which we're on now. And then of course you can find me in 30 million quadrillion motherfucking Pleiadian groups on Facebook. I'm in other Starseed groups too.
There's so many groups that like I'll get like member requests and I'm like, I didn't even know this group existed. Like
you know, I get an idea once in a while. I don't do new groups anymore, but I do when I get an idea now and then. I think about it. Like recently, and
you did the Procyon players. Is that new?
Yeah, Natalie and I had talked about once doing a Procyon and just kind of keep it in mind, but. And then I felt like doing it and getting it out of the way. Okay, so I did it, and we've got an Andromeda one, and you know, it just comes to me through consciousness. You have to understand to do these when the time is right. I could say I'm never going to do one again, and then get hit with an idea, right? Like this.
You'll be doing one in 2 hours. Don't lie. You need to do an addiction. You did the addiction group, right? The addicted to groups addiction page.
Yeah. And the page that, the group that Sif and I ripped off from Mr. X and renamed it Domestic Worldwide Violence. We renamed it Starseeds Against Domestic Violence. Yeah, Mr. X says he gave it to us, so we added that, and so those are there. And like I said, there's regional groups, there's fringe thinkers. Just here's the bottom line: go to Facebook and go to a page called Pleiadian Groups and Pages. It's a page. Go all the way down the list and find every group I'm in. I've created, which is like 35, and then all the 20. I don't know how many pages. Too many fucking many. But, you know, go there. You can go down the list and see it, and it also has the channels and website. And of course, on our website, of course, you know, it's not easy doing these shows, and I would really like to do more of them. I'd like to do it full time as a career. So if you like what you hear on here, go to Pleiadian Express to the website, which I'll give that again, larrylocken.wix.com/Pleiadian Express Pro. There is a donate button on there. It's real simple and easy. Here you can donate $1, $2, $3, $4, $5. You know, maybe your inheritance if you want to. We wouldn't mind that. No, just kidding. But every little bit helps, okay? Because it's, you know. Yeah, Mr. X is all full. He needs a headset and a microphone.
You know, Larry, we can change the name of your URL so it's not so difficult.
Yeah, can you remember that? I need to make sure too that I'm linking. Listen, I know the YouTube channel is linking for Pleiadian Express, but I don't know. I don't think the Light Grid is. But yeah, anybody's got a switchboard? Yeah, send it my way. But yeah, anyway, we can go ahead and wrap it up now. I think that we can talk about this in the format. Let's air all our boring bullshit to the world.
Okay.
Okay. Yes, send us all your studio equipment and yes, all your extra cigarettes. We are trying to get a studio going. It doesn't take much. It really doesn't. I mean, Art Bell had a little small one when he came back in his radio show, but when he hit 90, he had to have seven computers and phone lines all through his house.
All I need is a microphone stand, and I'm good. Yeah.
Yeah. Bridget at the microphone stand, the gangster crypt, Pleiadian crypt.
I'll even do microphone stand dances if you send me one.
You're gonna call out those Illuminati bloods, huh? Yeah. All right, everybody, thank you for tuning in. Much love out there, and I think, Bridget, we're going to go ahead and end it with a big cosmic dating game kiss.
Thank you. Mwah.
Shit. Mwah. And that's a wrap. Rocken out as soon as I hit the off button en route.